So I think we are all here and it's time to begin. And so once again, welcome everyone. Thank you for finding time in your calendars and joining us for today's webinar. My name is Roman Mastabayev. I'm a senior client account manager here at Velvetech. And for over 20 years, we've been providing class-leading software solutions to our customers across a variety of industries. And with the rise of digital transformation and increase in the number of tech initiatives to address, it's easy for companies to face the lack of software development resources, and IT talents are no exception here. And that's why today we've decided to discuss how to deal with this shortage and how to engage developers in the best efficient way and how ensure continuous delivery of IT projects. And we have our speaker today, the Senior Vice President for Service and Delivery at Velvetech, Eugene Brukhov, who has more than 20 years of hands-on experience in the IT delivery with a focus on tech consulting and talent management. And before passing the microphone to Eugene, I'd like to quickly mention that if you have any questions during the presentation, please type them in the Zoom chat. We'll have time for covering them at the end of our webinar. And now over to our speaker. Hi, Eugene. Happy to see you today. And I'm really thrilled to start the webinar and ready to take over the microphone.
Hi, Roman. Sure thing. Great to see you too. And thank you very much for the introduction. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming and welcome. My name is Eugene Brukhov, and I'm responsible for service and delivery here at Velvetech. Today, we will spend some time looking at the IT job market and reviewing possible options of dealing with talent shortages. Like Roman said, I'll be happy to take any questions via chat at the end of our webinar. All right, let's start with a brief review of where we are at after the pandemic. As if COVID-19 was not enough, the IT industry is now facing additional challenges. One of the most prominent difficulties seems to be with talent shortage. For instance, McKinsey & Company reported about 44% of surveyed companies to experience a prominent skill gap in the 5 years following the pandemic outbreak. When the pandemic hit, it initially put investments on hold and caused a lot of uncertainty. The post-pandemic reality started to form in 2021, by which time what some call the Great Resignation led to 4.5 million workers leaving their jobs in the United States by November of that year, and caused companies to lose billions in revenue. According to CNBC data, there were 4.6 million more job openings than unemployed workers in December of 2021. Regardless of industry, talent shortage became even more prominent. We are in the year 2022 now, and additional circumstances have entered the scene. Although investment in technology got back to normal, and in fact had never been higher than in 2022, the supply of senior level technology talent is still a problem. Not to make things easier, according to the Wall Street Journal, as of October of this year, the surveyed economists estimated the probability of a recession in the next 12 months at 63%. Add rising interest rates, inflation, and ongoing supply chain disruptions, all these factors are hurting everyone, virtually all around the world, not only in the United States. In these post-pandemic times, many organizations are reallocating technology budgets. As a result, the demand for software engineers is in fact increasing. Plus, that additional venture capital has led to new companies looking for engineers. This dynamic resulted in highly competitive job market for IT professionals with low unemployment rates. The outlook for IT remains bullish. Forrester Research predicted a 6% growth in technology investment globally in 2022. Yet, given the factors I mentioned, IT leaders are getting ready for the challenges ahead. They are preparing to make budget cuts and adjust revenue expectations. A solution to that seems to be outsourcing, as it offers access to additional talent and resources during such times of high demand and uncertainty. Outsourcing lets you keep operating costs low so you can still meet the ever-changing needs of your clients. More and more companies are opting for software development outsourcing. One of the reasons is that in North America, a record talent gap for software engineers triggered a 23% overall increase in onshore development rates in 2022. Outsourcing rates have also increased, with the biggest hike taking place in Latin America due to increasing labor costs and certain clients looking to replace old outsourcing partners because of the war in Ukraine. In comparison to that, the rates increase seems smaller in Central and Eastern Europe, as well as in Asia. So to summarize what awaits us in 2023, high developer demand is expected to stay, and the rising cost of living and global inflation will continue to boost prices. Senior level talent in IT will continually ask for top rates, and key technologies and special skills might still require an additional premium. All right, now let's take a look at the IT job market today. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, overall employment in computer and information technology is projected to grow 15%, 15% from 2021 to 2031 in the next decade. That's much faster than the average for all occupations. This increase is expected to result in almost 700,000 new jobs over the decade. In addition to new jobs from growth, there will be workers leaving their jobs permanently, retiring, for instance. That means more than 400,000 openings on average are projected to come from growth and replacement needs each year. If we look at the software developers, quality assurance analysts, and testers in particular, the numbers are even more impressive. The growth expectation is 25% over the next 10 years. And about 163,000 jobs for those professions alone are projected each year. This definitely confirms the high demand for IT professionals we are seeing, and developers surely have an opportunity to benefit from the job market situation. There is a downside though. The work of software developers continues to increase in complexity, which may cause burnout and resentment among current professionals. Although initially very excited about their job, many developers find themselves out of sync with their managers, with pressing deadlines and conflicting priorities, weakening work culture. This in turn leads to increased turnover, as software developers may be tempted to resign for another position with the same challenges. And that is, even though high-profile tech company layoffs are happening, software developer continues to stay at the top of the list of the world's most in-demand positions. Even with the recent cutbacks, tech companies are having problems finding qualified software developers to build applications, perform migrations, and implement new technologies. According to research, at least 50% of C-suite IT managers confirm it is difficult for their companies to grow and compete because of a deficit of skilled IT professionals. Staff retention is also poor. Seems like less than a third of IT professionals definitely expect to stay at their current job. That puts recruiting and retaining developers with the right skills at the top of the list of business challenges. Even with inflation, fear of recession, war in Europe, and other uncertainties, starting salaries continue trending upward, very much so for some positions. Also based on Robert Half research, 82% of senior managers have given raises to employees who expressed salary concerns. Of employers surveyed about how they are attracting skilled job candidates, 46% said they are offering higher starting salaries. 34% are offering signing bonuses, 33% are offering flexible work options, and 31% are hiring remotely. Software development outsourcing was considered a driver of innovation prior to the pandemic. COVID-19, though, economic uncertainty, and the tech industry cutbacks changed that. It seems that outsourcing is getting back to its roots of being a solution to resizing and repositioning development budgets in the face of business challenges. This trend seems to have started at the time of the pandemic and has been holding strong, according to Deloitte Consulting. This is why 89% of companies in a recent Boston Consulting Group study said they intend to maintain and strengthen existing relationships with their IT service providers. So let's say you decided you need a professional or a team of professionals to work for you. Whether you're thinking of hiring them or partnering with a company, it makes sense to look for certain attributes in the candidates. Let's take software developers, for example. Although personalities may differ, there are always certain indicators that can help you recognize a promising developer candidate when you see one. We at Velvetech hire developers, so these are some traits we look for. Need to understand how things work, or natural curiosity. Developers are the people who create code. The more curious they are about how existing things work, the more successful they will be in, say, integrating with a new platform or working with a new API. Best practices and security. The software they create will live in a world full of existing threats and changing business requirements. The more they follow industry best practices, be it software architectural patterns or informational security protocols, the more value they put into their code. Then there is team play, of course. The majority of software is created by teams of developers nowadays. So the developers need to be good communicators and possess relevant soft skills. And there is need for learning. The developers need to constantly catch up with the ever-changing technology landscape. The more open they are to expanding and improving their skill set, the more robust their solutions will be. When you as a client or employer look for IT talent, it does make sense to narrow your search down to particular specialties. Our teams, for instance, include project managers, business analysts, quality assurance engineers, DevOps engineers, and of course, developers. When a client comes to us with a business need, we work out the team set and size that will be the right fit. When it comes to choosing developers for your team, you may want to decide which ones you need. For instance, there are front-end developers. They create user interfaces for apps or websites. Developing the front end usually requires knowledge of scripting languages like JavaScript or TypeScript, modern frameworks like React or Angular, and experience in UI UX. Then there are backend developers. They work on the backend of software systems, which usually resides in the cloud and is responsible for all the business logic of the application of the website. They typically work in a compiled language like Java, C++, or C#, or use TypeScript, PHP, or Python. Also, these developers are generally good with database technologies such as SQL or NoSQL databases. And there are full-stack developers who do all of the above. They might help you with application design, business logic, and user interfaces. There are other kinds of developers, of course, specializing in, say, firmware, cloud, AI, blockchain, big data, or a very specific software platform like Salesforce or Creatio. When defining the role that needs filling, it's great to think about the type of software solution you need, as well as about the specific relevant skills for your team. The next step is creating a job description. If you need a specific position filled, there are aspects that you may want to highlight, such as essential technical skills. That's, for instance, the main programming languages, databases, or security protocols the developers will need to know from day one. Nice to have skills. If you consider some skills useful but not essential for your team, you may want to list, for instance, their experience with Microsoft Azure or Docker. Then, existing team environment. If you have an existing team the new candidate will work with, you may want to specify software development's framework requirements, like Agile, for instance. Specific time zone or location may also be your criteria, however soft those may be. And finally, soft skills. Whatever you feel is required for their productive work could be added to the job description. Non-technical skills relating to communication, empathy, and teamwork. And in the new reality, their ability to do remote work may be essential too. If you need to hire a team, especially from an outsourcing partner, you may still want to list those skills, but most importantly, The potential provider will ask you for a project vision or description, which will help them identify properly skilled professionals on their own. If you are looking to hire an IT professional for your organization, you will, of course, need to decide who will be the right fit. In our hiring process, for instance, we use a series of interviews. Those are mostly remote today, and they most certainly include a technical interview, which is preceded by a technical test rendered through a testing software platform. So it's online. That interview is done in real time by video as a coding session led by a senior developer on our end. And then there is a personal interview. A hiring manager can conduct that, and this is where you find out about the candidate's soft skills and ability to work in a team, as well as review their experience and employment history. With the developers, especially senior level ones, who are still in high demand despite all the fear of recession, we believe it's best to run all the interviews on a pretty compressed schedule. This keeps the candidates engaged and will save you unnecessary hiring expenses when losing candidates to other offers in between the interviews, for instance. In addition to offering our clients teams of developers, we at Velvetech also offer talent sourcing and recruiting, to which we apply the very same process as to our internal hires, with our clients present during some of the interviews of qualified candidates. Now that we have more or less figured out what businesses want from IT professionals, so let's take a look at what the latter want from their employers. High and competitive pay is the largest factor, of course. And with the current inflation and rising cost of living, there are no signs of the trend changing direction. The domestic rates and salaries in IT are high, and these are better equalized throughout the nation now. For instance, pay for an IT manager's position may be some 24% higher than the national average in Chicago, but it's quote unquote only 33% higher than the national average in Los Angeles in 2022. The difference used to be bigger. On top of that, there are other perks that US professionals are looking for. The pandemic has shifted a lot of things, but its arguably most prominent effect is remote work. Flexible work is now an expectation among most professionals. Even though technically we are past COVID now, the workforce is nowhere near using the office space as much as in pre-pandemic times. Factors like work-life balance and the cost and time of a commute are very important now in making people reluctant to return to pre-pandemic work arrangements. According to data from Robert Half, employees want to work remotely an average of 3 days out of a 5-day work week. Of those workers who plan to look for a new job, 54% are open to a fully remote position and 55% plan to seek a role with a hybrid schedule. Well, the results of promoting remote work and the hybrid team approach that the managers reported include increased retention, better staff morale, and again, larger candidate pools. Speaking of career development, those professionals who want to progress in their careers want employers to offer more upskilling opportunities. And 59% of managers are focusing more on staff's career goals and professional growth as a result. In order to help members of remote or hybrid teams to connect, companies are encouraging more communication, team building, and casual chats. As a result, 49% of workers see flexible work options as part of a positive company culture, and 46% see a positive company culture as a top factor when considering a job offer. Speaking of benefits, the same survey by Robert Half still has health insurance at the top of the list of the benefits the US candidates are looking for. Then the workers want paid time off, retirement savings plan, dental insurance, and a leave of absence. You obviously want to take all of these into account when hiring locally. Do you need to do so when you go worldwide in your search for IT talent? Well, the general answer is yes. There are differences, of course, based on the location of candidates, but with the world virtually without borders now, the global IT market is getting more unified and equalized year by year. The good thing is you can look into outsourcing. Take Velvetech, for instance. We take care of all these things the qualified developers look for, while our clients can focus on their projects with our teams at their disposal. All right, we are halfway through our webinar. Having done an overview of the IT job market in the United States and a recap of what both parties expect from one another, let's take a peek at where you can find IT talent. If you already have a business, the first avenue may not be too obvious, but it's definitely worth considering. As technologies and business models continue to evolve, businesses are experiencing a change in the workforce skills they need to continue to do well. There are forecasts out there showing that as many as 375 million workers globally might have to change occupations this decade due to new needs and information automation within their companies. That's a huge pool of resources by itself. Instead of looking for new talent that will most certainly come with high expectations, companies choose to invest in their existing workforce by encouraging them to reskill and advance into IT-related areas of expertise. No-code platforms may be a huge help in this process. For example, we offer implementation and customization services for no-code platforms like Creatio, whom we partner with. In the course of such a project, we take care of all the initial heavy lifting and set up our client's instance of the platform. The key thing is, our clients dedicate some of their staff to work with our team as project owners. After the project is finished, they become what we call power users and take on most of the support and platform administration work. So a combination of proper software and a willingness to invest in their own staff allows our clients to grow specialists in-house who become proficient in managing and even customizing their new business automation system. The second avenue is traditional. You can look for candidates in the IT job market and hire them. We do that all the time, and we do that globally. At this very moment, our staff is dispersed throughout over 30 different countries, starting with the United States, where our headquarters and management office is located, and covering Latin America, Europe, and Asia. This is a distinguishing feature of the modern work market. You too can hire globally. And as I mentioned earlier, we can help you with that as we source and place either US-based or global candidates with our clients. And finally, there is outsourcing. It comes in a few flavors, but they all allow you to maintain productivity and take pressure off your in-house team. On the one hand, it seems that the big plans companies may have had earlier in the year may now need to go on pause due to the changing economic climate. On the other, businesses may be pausing some projects while accelerating others as they look to automate their processes and enhance customer experience. As a result, we're still seeing strong demand for digital transformation and cloud migration projects. That's a bit of a paradox, but while many tech companies are trimming their headcount, the market for skilled tech professionals remains very tight. Past 2 years, the developers' rates were growing very fast. The year 2023 may put a leash on the rate's growth, but that's still growth. The answer could be outsourcing. Outsourcing may help in cases when new needs require technologies the companies may not have had prior experience with, or when it's not willing to expand. The company is not willing to expand existing teams into the directions it finds temporary or in need of hard-to-find specialists. Since we help our customers with that, I have examples. Let's say custom hardware and firmware development. Some of our clients choose to benefit from a full spectrum of our services, starting with hardware design all the way through BI reporting of the data generated by a fleet of IoT devices in the cloud. Others bring their own custom device, and we help them only with specific firmware modules or cloud integrations. Anyway, how do you start with outsourcing? Well, You choose your outsourcing partner. Once you've vetted the company and are ready to start with them, you can use only their services or add them to your pool of outsourcing partners as you see fit. Either way works. Visit our blog at velvetech.com/blog for articles on what to pay attention to in your search for your outsourcing partner. That could be great help. You can see a few links on this slide. Yep, right there. Thank you, Roman. And we will be sharing those after the webinar. All right. So you have found your talent. How do you engage with your new team? I will try to answer the question in a very general sense. The good thing about doing so is the answer applies to any scenario, whether you use outsourcing or not. We have found having a well-structured process to be the most important aspect of collaboration in a project, or any activity for that matter. That could be a set of online docs where you publish a few notes as you work with your team, or you can become an advocate of a fully featured software development process framework. In our decades of helping hundreds of our clients, we've learned that although every company is different and may utilize its own workflow for its business, a process needs to be in place. And it does make sense to invest in it, even when such an investment seems counterintuitive. If you decide on outsourcing, a competent outsourcing partner should have their own mature development process and follow their own best practices. This enables them to reliably deliver new features, meet clients' requirements, and track budgets. Since pretty much everyone is working remotely today, be it one day a week or all the time, it may be very beneficial to make the next step if you haven't already done so. Support hybrid teams. What that means is everyone in any time zone or location, whether on a company computer or on a personal phone, can use the same cloud-based tools to collaborate and access. Well, of course, with proper security in place, access the same company resources. You don't have to support 24 time zones and 100 locations from day one. But when you've supported just a few, without even thinking of using a global workforce, you're only one more step away from actually doing so. When you decide on outsourcing and choose your outsourcing partner, you have a few options with them. Companies that provide outsourcing development services should not only be intermediaries between contractors and clients. When we work for our clients, we start by learning about their product and its business value. When we work, then we work not only on adding new features or supporting its operations, but also on strengthening the business value from the beginning. We also believe that every client's needs are unique, and we offer 3 types of outsourcing engagement by default. Additional partnership formats can be established with Velvetech or another outsourcing partner, of course, but the main 3 are as follows. Dedicated team. This engagement model means that you turn to software outsourcing services whenever you need to ramp up a project team of the right size. Commonly, you have full control over the development process on your side, while your dedicated team provides guidance across every step of the project implementation. Then there is project team. With project-based outsourcing, as the name suggests, you delegate an entire project development to a chosen outsourcing partner. This type of collaboration takes a huge part of the work off your hands, since the development team is responsible for the delivery of your project from cover to cover. Based on your requirements, the company you decide to outsource will handle every stage of the software development journey and make sure the end result complies with your initial goals. And there is staff augmentation. Staff augmentation is the model of hiring IT resources when you need to extend your in-house team. Usually, you start with evaluating existing staff capacities and capabilities, and then deciding what skills and expertise are required to implement the project. This type of partnership allows you to leverage the experience of externally hired software developers to augment the efficiency of your business. It provides you with professionals who essentially work on your terms. And the last, but not least important section of our webinar is about managing your IT talent. According to Robert Half surveys, 51% of hiring managers in the United States said quits at their company have increased. 78% are concerned even more employees will leave. We find this actually true for the IT industry worldwide. Again, we are dealing with a paradox here at the end of 2022. On the one hand, tech companies are doing cutbacks in fear of recession. On the other hand, it's still extremely hard to find qualified candidates of senior level to replace those who quit. Since it's simply easier to retain the talent companies already have, organizations employ certain best practices that promote positive per-company culture. If, once again, we take developers as an example, such best practices may include: support different opinions. If a company fosters healthy communication channels and practices allowing team members to be heard, developers will voice their opinion. If the manager listens and finds a balance between organizational goals and technical needs, that will provide positive outcomes for both sides. Ease the pressure. In certain cases and organizations, developers may face near impossible deadlines. Those result in shortcuts, and then not only the software quality may suffer, but also the team's morale. Although deadlines remain important, priorities should cover best technical practices and allow time for proper software architecture and security protocol implementations. Make your company culture inclusive. Every work result is better when it's produced by a team of diverse people and perspectives. Software development is no different. So ensuring that software development teams feature different viewpoints and perspectives simply makes the software better. And finally, encourage learning. Companies should encourage developers to expand their skill sets into the areas beneficial to the company now or in the future. This earns loyalty from the team members and ensures the company's better adaptability to new technologies. This last point is actually very important. When the labor market simply can't provide enough senior level specialists for the IT industry's needs, investing in staff development brings additional benefits. We at Velvetech, for instance, have company-approved career charts and skill matrices for internal use that the team members can review with their managers while identifying their future professional goals. And then plot a personalized professional development plan, including industry-recognized certifications. Since your outsourcing partner like Velvetech may already be doing all that, the talent that comes from an outsourcing engagement is usually more inclined to stay on your team than an average candidate from the market. That said, you can have a mix of in-company and outsourcing teams. And while you would be better off managing your company's talent, your outsourcing partner will do this for you relating to their staff, with the same end result of providing software development and IT consulting services at a high level. All right, I can see that we have covered the topics of our webinar, and it's time to sum things up. So, the pandemic changed things. The market for senior level specialists is tight, but since everyone is working remotely, companies can go worldwide in the search of IT talent. You can grow new talent in-house, try to find candidates on the local market, or engage recruiting and outsourcing partners to explore huge additional talent pools worldwide. While doing so, you should make sure to vet your outsourcing partners and keep in-house staff engaged in the projects to retain business value and encourage collaboration and professional growth. Velvetech can help you with that. Feel free to check out our website at velvetech.com for more details or get in touch with us via chat or email. Thank you all very much for bearing with me all the way. All right, Roman, back to you.
Thank you, Eugene, for sharing this information and your thoughts on the topics. And we will go ahead and take some time for questions now. It looks like we have a few here, so let's see.
Absolutely, Roman. Let me take a look at those questions. Give me one quick second. Hi, Julio. Adam. All right. There is a question from Anna. You say IT employees are interested in flexible and remote working options, but how can I facilitate a good collaborative work culture when everyone is out of the office? Great question. Thank you very much. There is no golden rule, of course, but the general idea is you need to support remote work in the most natural way, logistically. If you have live meetings, move them to an online platform. If your employees lack equipment with webcams, well, they obviously need them for remote work and meetings. Encourage them or help them to get those. Think about what else was tying them to the office and digitize it. Eliminate or reroute paper mail. Switch to online document signing and implement an online platform for task tracking and reporting. Once you support hybrid work this way, then you may want to have your HR work on team building and company culture by doing online events, be it virtual tea parties, celebrations, or such. Encourage casual chats through the same platform your staff uses for work. Well, you may want to use separate channels for that, of course, but still, feel free to use the same platform. In general, be creative in how to strengthen team spirit and company values. And of course, you still want to track their KPIs and encourage professional development for your staff. Just focus on performance and help those struggling by peer reviews and other activities within the team. That's how we do it. Thank you for your question once again. Sophia, what are the must-ask questions when interviewing developers outsourcing partners? Thank you, Sophia. Great question. Well, those are two different types of interviews, to be honest. When talking to a developer, you may want to make sure they have sufficient and relevant skills, as well as they are a good cultural fit for your organization, of course. You can get to this level of questions when talking to a potential outsourcing partner as well, but it makes a better sense to start with, interviewing and vetting them as an organization. To do so, consider asking them, your potential outsourcing partner, about their history, about their process, about their ability to scale, that's important, and about their ability to adapt to a change. Still, the general stuff, ask for references, portfolio, range of specialties and technologies they support. You may also want to take a look at our blog. For instance, we've got an article on the top questions you can ask mobile developers. It's actually listed on the roundup I showed above regarding how you can find outsourcing partners. We will be sharing that presentation after the webinar. This actually brings up a question on my end. If this topic is of particular interest, we could probably organize a webinar focusing just on that. So let me know in chat if that would be a good idea. All right, there is a question for Lucas. In terms of pursuing no code, you mentioned that, of course, it requires investing in our staff. Is that cost actually lower than that of HR associated expenses when looking for new talent? And if so, by roughly how much? Interesting question. Thank you for the question. Yes, and if you're looking for, let's say, quantitative comparison of the sheer numbers, I must admit there is no universal answer. At least I don't have it right now. Most likely the business in need of making this kind of decision will need to run these numbers by seeing how they would approach the search and how much this search would cost. Meaning, will they do it themselves or will they hire a recruiting partner for that? And they will have to compare that number to how much they would invest into upskilling their existing staff. Yes, finding a great software developer will cost you a few months worth of of work of a recruiter. It does take a few months. However, no code is not only about numbers. It's about general ability to solve a bigger business issue of needing a high expense IT personnel on staff. Your alternative with no code is educating and reallocating your existing people. These are two alternative approaches, and with no code potentially working out better for you if you have line of business workers who may appreciate a professional upgrade, and if you are cautious about getting into the search of additional IT staff. That's the idea of no code. Hope I answered your question. All right. Let's see if we have something else here. I can see a question from Adam. Could you share some numbers? If comparing in-house and nearshore offshore development, what would be the difference in total cost of engagement? Great question. Thank you, Adam. Yeah, I would say that's the most intriguing question of all. How much and what costs what? Thank you for bringing this up. Let me answer you this way. When you look at the numbers, you need to make sure you really compare apples to apples. If you only consider the hourly rates, well, I've seen statistics, and that kind of confirms our experience, that software development that costs, let's say, $100 an hour in the United States can be outsourced for some $60 an hour in most locations with equivalent quality. For companies with smaller budgets, there will absolutely be cheaper options, but in this case, they would need to make some compromises on quality, project duration, communication overheads, or such. So when hiring your local in-house developers, the total cost of engagement will also include, in addition to base hourly rate, taxes, healthcare, well, benefits like retirement plans, time off, and so on. When you outsource, many of those in-house costs are replaced with certain additional costs to bear for, let's say, communication and management oversight of your new outsourcing partner. Again, our experience confirms, and I've seen other experts suggest, that the total cost of engagement for outsourcing model can be as much as 20% of top of the base rate, which still makes, well, I would say the total cost of outsourcing engagement some 30–35% lower than in-house, again, of equivalent quality, and way lower than when compared to working with domestic contractors, because their rates are higher than in-house staff. So hopefully that provides you some idea, but again, you as a business, as a particular business, may want to run those numbers before engaging into any kind of arrangement with outsourcing, meaning worldwide or local outsourcing. Thank you, Lucas, Adam. Thank you, Julio. Appreciate you coming here to the webinar. Any advice in case, question from Vadim, any advice in case company reduce the number of employees 2 times? How to encourage the remaining people? How to organize job? A great question, Vadim. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Well, I would say it becomes a matter of priorities. In case the company staff is drastically reduced, like you mentioned, it becomes a really matter of priorities and a really matter of encouraging the team to reach those company goals. So if, let's say, as a result of such cutbacks, your company's overall staff is decreased 3 times, it becomes a natural, deduction that the resulting staff can only produce 1/3 of the work the original staff could do. But in reality, it's all a matter of motivation. So as a business, you want to reinforce company values. You may want to, well, interest the remaining people to work harder, be it an increased pay, some additional bonuses, some additional, well, maybe benefits even, that you potentially could provide them as a business. And as a developer, you absolutely want to track your time and communicate your own capabilities in this hyper mode. So if you're asked to do 3 times the work, It really becomes a matter of capacity. Whether or not you can do it is up to you as a developer, and whether or not your developer can do it is a matter of you as a business motivating them to do so. In my experience, it doesn't really work to expect the remaining, let's say, third of the people to produce the same amount of work, but it's possible to increase their output maybe 50% with doing that motivation work. Julio, thank you. Appreciate it. You have a great holiday time as well. Bye. Thank you. Thanks all. Sounds like we've covered pretty much everyone. So Roman, back to you.
Thank you, Eugene, and thank you very much for all the questions. And I'm glad we had the time to answer them all. And however, if you think of anything later on, feel free to visit our LinkedIn page and leave your question in the comment section of our newsletter. It's called Velvetech's IT Talks, and it comes out every 2 weeks in the form of Q&A with our experts. So leave your queries there, and you'll get them answered by our IT specialists shortly. And thank you, everyone. We appreciate you being with us today, and hope you enjoyed our webinar. Stay tuned for our next webinar in the beginning of 2023, and check your inbox for an invitation. Thanks again for joining us today, and happy upcoming holiday.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.